The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Go Cowboys! This is Media Mash,
A roundtable of Cowboys insiders
dropping wisdom
and offering sizzling takes
on the current state of your Dallas Cowboys.
Now, your host,
Newy Scruggs.
Look at them right here on the Media Mash. Everybody on their phones because these are information addicts. They are getting you the latest on the Dallas Cowboys as they get ready to face the Cincinnati Bengals at Jerry World on Sunday. Newy Scruggs, this is the Media Mash. We got John Machota from The Athletic, Nick Eatman of DallasCowboys.com, Clarence Hill, the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Another day in the media locker room. So, gentlemen, I did not get a chance to get down there today. So, Cooper Rush spoke to the media. Nick, what did he say?
Well, to say he's even keel is pretty understatement. Yeah, he's the guy that's going to be barking out the signals in front of 90,000 people there. But that's what he is. He's not going to be too high ever. I don't think he's too low, and he's I thought what he said was interesting is he's going to pretty much do what he did last year, and he's got talent around him, especially on the defensive side, and you got to play sound football and let the defense go win the game. I mean, that's what happened last year, and that's what I think they're expecting to happen again in this game.
It's Troy, man. You talk about talking to people. That's what Troy. Troy gave you nothing.
Oh, I thought you meant like play sound football and you can't go in the game. Sorry.
A cliche.
Okay, so,
A Troy cliche. Troy giving you nothing. You walk away from that like, okay, we got the quarterback. Now I need to go get something that I can use, but you got the quarterback.
Romo was the same way.
Romo would at least crack a joke or something. Todd Archer had a way of getting a little something out of Romo, but stop it, Clarence. Stop looking like that, Clarence. John Machota, say something positive. I want to hear from Clarence just yet.
You made his caddy?
The only thing I will say
Romo's
though about
caddy?
the Troy thing.
John, go ahead, John.
I've caddied for Romo.
Obviously,
Go ahead.
Obviously, I never covered Troy, but I've seen some of the video of Troy being pretty fiery on the sidelines. And I know it can be different because you're the franchise quarterback. The thing about Cooper is I never, after they won the game in Minnesota, you obviously saw how excited he was, but even that was kind of not like you would expect out of him. It doesn't matter if he throws an interception or a touchdown or he's in the locker room talking to us or out on the practice field. Like, he never seems like anything really phases him. And that can be a good thing. I just think that every team needs kind of a vocal leader type at somewhere on the team, and that clearly is Dak Prescott. So I'm interested to see who kind of steps up because you're going to need Cooper Rush for more than one game. Who's going to kind of step up and kind of be the leader of that group? It probably should be Ezekiel Elliott. I think that because of, he's got the most skins on the wall. Okay. Maybe CeeDee Lamb. But I'm interested to see who kind of steps up in that role because I do think that the game plan is going to be very similar to the Minnesota game. I don't think there's going to be a lot of chances early on, and I think that they're going to try and keep it close, and then maybe he'll try and take some shots in the second half, but I don't think that he's going to be just slinging it all over the park. I really don't.
Slinging like Ben DiNucci. Slinging Ben. Smile, Machota, smile.
I want to hear your information. Jump in.
Yeah, man, what's your information?
Yeah,
what's your exclusive, man?
It's funny because we're talking about his laid-back demeanor, and we were talking to CeeDee Lamb in the locker room, and we brought up.
I'm getting to CeeDee in a minute. So Cooper Rush, can we stay on point? You'd be a terrible lawyer. Turn your phone off.
We were
talking
about CeeDee Lamb. We were talking about Antonio Bryant. Why they were leaving him out the 88 club. First of all, CeeDee didn't even know Antonio Bryant wore 88. Did not even know.
Why would he know? Why would he know?
So people just have forgotten.
Yes, they have.
Antonio Bryant. But I was talking to him about it. We were talking about.
Put your phone on.
We were talking about. I'm sorry.
Amateur hour.
Quarterbacks in demeanor, and I told him the great Antonio Bryant quote about Dak Prescott. I'm not about Quincy Carter, and it was one of the crazy examples of Quincy Carter and certainly Antonio Bryant. We asked him about Quincy Carter. He said, playing quarterback is like being on cocaine. When you're high, you're high. When you're low, you're low. Perfect quote from Antonio Bryant. Inappropriate, especially in light of all the other things that we knew about Antonio Bryant and Dak Prescott. Why do you know about cocaine? But I'm just talking about moving on to Cooper Rush, I mean,
get to that. Get to that part.
He does have that low demeanor though, but he is laid back, and that's something that the Cowboys like about him, respect about him. Mike McCarthy talked about he's the perfect complement to Dak Prescott because Dak Prescott's up here. He's the leader. He's this, and he fits in with that quarterback room.
When you drive to Austin, do you go to L.A. first? I mean, you went around the whole world.
I wanted to get my Antonio Brown quote in there.
And you threw Dak's name in there twice, and Dak's not even a part of this. You threw.
I want to get my Antonio.
Let me just tell you exactly what happened here.
I want to get my Antonio Brown quote.
He says that he explained this in the locker room. CD laughed, a few other reporters laughed, and so that was in Chill's mind that I got to tell this on the podcast. That's what happened.
No, it had nothing to do with it.
And how many times
doesn't matter where it has
to go off in one day? Like, didn't this happen today to McCarthy?
Yes.
First of all,
this is second of all.
Those are notifications. It wasn't like Brad Sham, where I was playing McCarthy's press conference back.
Blame somebody else.
I'm just saying. It wasn't like Brad Sham. I was playing McCarthy's press conference back.
Well, you don't have the picture on the wall over here, okay? So Brad can do that. Okay.
Love Brad. We love Brad.
Yeah, we do.
Did you just do a whataboutism?
Yes.
What about Brad?
Yes.
Really? No, did I do what about that?
What about
Chicago? We doing
what
that?
about That's what you just did there. What about?
But hey, listen,
Sham ain't got nothing to do with this.
They believe they're supposed to say it. They have to say it. They believe that they can win with Cooper Rush, and my issue is based on what we saw last week. When Cooper Rush won last year, that offense was hitting on all cylinders.
He had all three wide receivers.
That running game was going. You had everything at your disposal. Dak Prescott couldn't uplift these receivers last week. Is Cooper Rush going to be able to uplift this receiving core this week and going forward?
This, to me, is where Kellen Moore has to earn his money. Okay? You don't have the pieces you had last year. You have to devise a whole new game plan. So if you're going to be the offensive coordinator, you've got to look up here and say, okay, what are the pieces I have? How do I put together a game plan and go do it? Dating myself here, but Rob Ryan took a Cowboy defense that had Brady Papinga, and it was that game up in D.C., RG3's rookie year, and they did enough defensively that could have won that game, and had they won that game, they'd have won the East. It's what he had to work with, and he found a way to say, okay, guys, this is who we have, threw it out there, and they did enough. He's going to have to go out with the pieces he has and figure out a game plan to go beat Cincinnati. That's the job that all coordinators have to figure out. What do I have?
So if they win, if they lose like 28-24, you'll say that? Like, are you going to say, like, man, he did enough to win, right? 28-24.
Quarterback?
No, I'm saying
the quarterback or the offensive coordinator.
No, I'm saying if the Cowboys go out and lose 28-24, are you going to be like, well, that's on Dan Quinn because Kellen Moore did enough?
No.
Well, you just said Rob Ryan did enough on defense, but he didn't. They didn't do enough. They lost. They didn't
How'd
do enough.
How'd they lose that game? Remember the ending?
Romo threw a pick.
How many people were surrounding that receiver he threw to? Like
but I'm saying is the defense didn't do enough. You said they did enough, but they didn't. They didn't.
I thought Dan Quinn's defense did enough last week.
Okay.
They did enough to win. To me, in my mind.
That's my point. Okay. That's my point. What's your cutoff on that? Because if they go out and score 24 points, that's going to be enough. But, I mean, it doesn't mean that they'll win the game. All I'm saying is that, to me, they kind of go hand in hand. And if you do enough, you don't do enough.
He meant theoretically.
Right. I know. I was asking what his theory was. I think he can talk for himself. Like, he does this for a living.
So what am I looking for from? Run the ball, number one. We were there talking to Ezekiel Elliott yesterday. Run the football. 10 carries for Ezekiel Elliott. If that happens in the football, that's not enough. Try to control the clock. Win the time of possession. That offense is pretty good. How do you help your offense out? Run the football. Run the clock.
Right.
Try to help them.
The problem with that, though, is when you run that and you get, let's say, 4 yards on first down, and then you go to run it again on the second down, and you get a holding call, you're not running it again after that because now you got to throw because you're behind the chains.
Well, and that's the problem with this whole theory. We're just going to run it. The Cowboys have not proven that they can get out of their own way offensively, especially with the penalties. The beautiful thing about last week is the defense had no penalties.
Correct.
They had 10 on offense. A number of holding, a number of false starts, things that they had problems with last year. And that's the whole problem with the idea, the theory that we can lean on the running game. The running game without any big plays, you're asking to sustain drives all the way down the field. That's being naive. Yes, we love the 4 and 5 yard runs by Zeke. I need some 20-yard runs. I need some big plays. You got to mix some big, and you have to convert on third downs. That's what he's talking about.
And this is a part of it.
And so you need that passing game to do that. You run the ball. And one reason why Zeke only got 10 carries is the fact that they didn't sustain drives. They were horrible on third down. Yes, they would have run the ball more last week if they could sustain drives. It wasn't like we don't give Zeke 10 carries. They couldn't sustain drives. Then they got behind.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. Early in the game, Steele had 4 penalties, but his first one is like what John just said. It was a 7-yard run by Zeke, and then after that, it was a false start penalty. So now it's really just a 2-yard run by Zeke, and then they have to, and then you're behind the chains, and so therefore, when you run 7 yards on first down, you should be able to keep running and running. But now it's 2nd and 7. Because of penalties. So you guys said it best. I mean, penalties killed them. So you can't just say 5 yards a carry and they can go down because
right. We look at 10 for 52. Already got 5 yards a carry. They should have ran it more.
Well, when it's 1st and 20, you're not gonna. It's not gonna work.
And I maybe could understand false starts on the road. You should not be false starting at home.
Yeah.
So is that a coach thing or a player thing?
Well, it's definitely a player thing. We don't see Zach Martin false starting. It's definitely a player thing, but it just like, he gave us a great tutorial the other day, because I asked him about, him having like 6 holding penalties, having more Pro Bowls holding penalties. And, we go back to Connor Williams, we go back to whoever this year, they get these holding penalties. Like, you got to understand when to let go. If the fouls coming, it's just yes, it's a player thing, but it's also a coaching thing. Well, how does Zach know not to get these holding penalties, not to get caught in those situations? Because sometimes it's about the ball bouncing back and the guy going back the other way. You get caught in a bad situation. Let the guy go. Those are coaching techniques. It's not just about a player getting beat.
This also wasn't something that we spoke about heavily when Jason was here. Not to this extent. They never led the league in penalties. And so here you are with Coach McCarthy telling us all through training camp, it's a point of emphasis. Working on it. Game 1, you got 10 penalties right out the gate, and then you see Terrence Steele with a hat trick on one drive.
Yeah, and if it was all, if it was a lot on defense, it'd be one thing to lead the league in penalties, and you're leading the league in interceptions, and also high up there in sacks. Like that kind of makes more sense to be aggressive, and sometimes you take the good with the bad. But like you guys are saying, just defense, no penalties. Offense was the one that was a problem, and the offense wasn't countering that with 40 points.
No.
So yeah, that's a problem. I mean, I don't have a problem with the defense getting a lot of penalties if they're getting a lot of interceptions and sacks, but
But yeah, I mean, listen, the offensive line led the league in penalties last year. This offensive line, Connor Williams is gone, but it was the offensive line that had the bulk of the penalties again last week, and again, like I said, false starting at home.
Yeah.
So I kind of believe, though, that them not playing the starters at all in the preseason, I do believe that contributed to some rust in that first game. I'm certainly not saying they were going to beat the Buccaneers, but I do think it contributed a little bit. So I do think they will be a little bit better in week 2 than they were in week 1. I don't think they're as bad as they looked in week 1. Of course, losing your starting quarterback factors into that. But I do think that there's something to not getting reps together in actual game situations. I just don't think what you did in a practice setting against the Chargers and the Broncos is going to be the same as getting actual preseason reps. And I know Patrick Mahomes is amazing, but I just see he's playing in the preseason. I see the way he plays week 1. There's other teams that played like that. Cowboys obviously didn't do that. I just think that there's got to be some correlation between that and them looking as sloppy as they did on offense.
And the 5th youngest team in the National Football League. Young guys who need to play. So let's hit our first break here. Let's come back and talk about the Cowboys defense going up against Joe Burrow and the Bengals offense without a key member in the secondary. That's John Machota. That's Nick Eatman. It's Clarence Hill. I'm Newey Scruggs. This is the Media Mash on DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
What do you call a group of grown men and women with their faces painted silver and blue who get together every week to share a 3-hour-long ritual of jumping, singing, and toasting Miller Lite and 10-gallon hats while yelling, "How about them Cowboys?" You call it Miller Time in Dallas. Here's to the Cowboys. Here's to the original light beer. It's Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. 2021 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way.
Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Lil Sweet! Did you get to work on time?
Yeah, but I just realized it's Sunday.
Lil Sweet says head on home. Dr. Pepper's on its way. So sweet, unique. Baby, there's nothing better. I bet you've probably done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper. Did you invest your nest egg in an NFT?
Yeah, and I don't even know what that is.
It's a non-fungible token. Everyone's done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper.
Back to Media Mash.
Media Mash, right here on DallasCowboys.com radio. John Machota, The Athletic, Nick Eatman of DallasCowboys.com, Clarence Hill, the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Joe Burrow and the Bengals coming to town. Bengals lost their home opener. They were a turnover machine. 5 turnovers, almost won the game against the Steelers, but their backup snapper could not make the operation work, so they ended up missing an extra point. They could have won the game in regulation, then they lost it in overtime. All right, Clarence Hill. Now the Cowboys, who performed well with 19 points he gave up to the Buccaneers, get another high-powered offense coming in here, another quarterback who has started a Super Bowl. Jaron Kearse is out for this game. How do they make up for that loss, sir?
Mukwamo and Bell. Marquise Bell and Mukwamo. You know, I think that Bell is more of the guy that does the close to the line of scrimmage stuff. He's a better tackler. He's more of a linebacker type, and Mukwamo is the guy that does the coverage stuff. You know, because of his size, former cornerback, I think he's got it. He used to cover the tight ends. I think that they're okay. You know, they do a better job. They got a better situation with that defense and everything they do. They have a strong safety group that can make up for the loss of Jaron Kearse.
And let's be honest, this is where Malik Hooker has to step up. You know, all offseason, I would put him, if he's not at number 1, he's at number 2 or 3 of the guys that Jerry Jones talked the most about in the offseason, about how he was expecting big things from.
Don't say it.
No, I was just going to say, no, I don't think this is what you're talking about, but at the blue carpet event, you know, when they were, throughout the event, they would, you know, announce players from different groups. I mean, Jerry clapped for most players, but I mean, when the 2 players that stood out to me that he was just going nuts about when they said their name were Malik Hooker and Damone Clark. Like, he just was so excited about.
And you know why he was excited about Malik? I like that hooker.
As you're saying, John?
It's a Jerry quote. That's a Jerry quote.
But I think that, hey, this is a guy that, you know, Jerry mentions this a lot.
Doesn't always mean it needs to be repeated.
Well, you got to repeat Jerry quotes.
They liked him a lot coming out of the draft, coming out of Ohio State. He was a first-round pick. He, you know, battled injuries and things like that. And so Jerry really feels like he hasn't reached the potential of what he showed coming out of Ohio State. And so he's hoping that, hey, this could be a guy. Well, here's your chance now. Jaron Kearse is out. Someone's got to step up. And, hey, a couple years ago, this is a major problem, but this is the best the safety group has looked in a long time in terms of their depth. So I think they can handle it better than in previous years, for sure.
I mean, I know the defenses are always different with different coordinators, but I can't remember that many depth charts that actually had 3 safeties in the starting lineup. I don't even know if they had 3 safeties that were good on the whole team. But, you know, they put 3 in their own starting lineup just because that's how much Donovan Wilson plays. So I wonder that, though. You know, Clarence answered the question with 2 players that were both inactive last week, Bell and Mukwamu. So it's going to be interesting to see, does two players replace one? And if so, where do they go short in other areas of being inactive? Everybody wants to see Tolbert this week. I don't know if they can even get him active for the game. So I'm just curious on how that's going to go. If those two guys are both active, then they're going to have to go short at another area.
Did McCarthy declare who's going to wear the green dot yet, or is that a state secret?
I think Leighton did some of it last week. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's several guys who have the green dot.
Yeah, when J-Ron went off, Bucky immediately switched helmets with Malik Hooker. So that's why I thought maybe Hooker had it in his helmet. I mean, it was like instantaneously, like, hey, this is what we're doing. So I don't know. I think that he's got to be in on it.
He says several guys did it. But I think this is not a defense, unlike those Rob Ryan defenses, there's not a lot of confusion about what they're doing, okay?
You got a thick playbook.
It's not
Church always talking about, thick playbook.
It's not a lot of confusion. But, I mean, again, it's the defense. This is what you feel good about. I mean, and the Bengals offense, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon. I'm sure everybody's excited about Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I'm worried about Joe Mixon running and doing some of the things that Tampa did with that running game against this Cowboys defense. And they said it was more outside runs than inside runs, but you're still going to have to stop them. And Trayvon Diggs is going to have to tackle.
And I'm not saying that. I think that it was kind of an outlier, kind of a surprise that the Bengals went to the Super Bowl. I do not think that they were one of the best teams in the NFL. I think they got hot at the right time. But I do think that they are a formidable opponent. And when those teams have come into AT&T Stadium lately, they have gotten the best of the Cowboys. And if you're a Cowboys fan, you have to hate that they lost that opener, because they're not going to play like that again. You're going to see a better Bengals offense than you did in that game.
Cincinnati's a 7.5-point favorite.
They were a 2.5-point underdog before Dak got hurt. Before the season, the Cowboys favored by 2.5 points.
Before the season, because even with Dak, after the way they played in that opener, no way would they
before the season they were 2.5-point underdogs. After that game, after Dak's injury, it's a 7.5-point.
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Of course,
7.5.
Right, and you look at Cincinnati, and let's be honest. They would have become the first team in the league to have 5 turnovers and win the game. I think that's a stat, because they should beat Pittsburgh.
Sure.
The missed extra point, a blocked extra point, missed 29-yard field goal in overtime. That game is over. After 7 sacks and 4 interceptions and a fumble from the quarterback. After they got decimated, and that defense was strong enough. 17 of Pittsburgh's 23 points came after turnovers. That defense did a pretty good job outside of the sudden change and putting in bad situations against that Pittsburgh offense. So, I mean, you can't say they're going to do 5 turnovers every week. If they cut down on turnovers, it's going to be tough for, as well as the Cowboys defense is going to play, they're not going to, slow down like that.
I'll say this. I think the Cowboys defense, though, can be just as good, if not better, than Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's defense on the road, Cowboys defense at home. You're expecting the Cowboys to be hungry again on defense. They got the player of the year in TJ Watt before he got hurt. I think Micah Parsons is going to be a candidate for that as well. They got Fitzpatrick. They have Diggs. I mean, I think that's a comparable defense.
It is. I'm saying, but that doesn't mean you're going to get 5 turnovers.
No.
So it was the turnovers that make the difference.
But I think it's to John's point. The Bengals, as good as they play, great as they played at the end last season. I mean, this is a 10-7 football team that got hot. I don't think they've figured it out completely. They can be beaten. They can be vulnerable, especially on that offensive line. So I think the Cowboys defense can handle it.
I'm pushing back on the defense because I'm truly worried about Curse. They spent so much time at this offseason training camp telling you how important of a player he is, having him play 3 spots. Hey, we have him as a safety. We move him now, play linebacker, he plays nickel. Now we're talking about 2 guys who didn't even play last week to come out here and try and go up against a really, really good receiving core. And, oh, by the way, Hayden Hurst is just as good as talented a tight end as Dalton Schultz is. So you lose him out there. I think this is a really tough matchup for this team.
I think Mukwamu should replace Donovan Wilson, and I think Donovan Wilson is a guy that can slide up. I think you've seen him play closer to the line of scrimmage. I think the football tends to find him.
It does.
And I think now he's not cursed. I mean, going up there and tackling those running backs, I don't know if he's going to make a living doing that, but I think he could play closer to the line of scrimmage, and I do like Mukwamu as a rangy safety in the back end.
All right, that's something I'm definitely just.
Or could be Bell.
All of that, but I think that we haven't even talked about it. You bring up let's talk about the front. I mean, it's where the Cowboys are going to eat is that offensive line. And, I was talking to Leo Collins today. Not Leo Collins. When I was talking to Michael Parsons today about Leo Collins.
Wow.
I was talking to Michael Parsons about Leo Collins. He said he's different than TJ. I said, I'm not going to – TJ Watt, TJ Watt is not as fast. He was more of a speed rusher, and he does different things than TJ Watt, so he's not going to be copying what TJ Watt did. But he said the left tackle is worse than Leo Collins.
Did he say that on the record? Did he
really
want you to be?
He said that?
Wow. Okay.
No, I'm just. That's
we were talking. We were just talking, but he said the left tackle was worse than and everybody kicks Leo Collins because he's here. Leo Collins is not bad. TJ Watt does that to everybody.
That's the thing. He's happy you said that.
Hashtag journalism.
I'm sure he's happy.
What are you talking about?
No, I'm just saying. I'm sure he's really happy that you said that.
I mean, I don't know what we're doing here, but anyway, the bottom line is
it's an exclusive. Right?
The bottom line is everybody kicks Leo Collins, but Leo Collins is probably still the best tackle on that team.
A popular question, I guess, for Joe Burrow this week has been, and this happens a lot, and I just think it's ridiculous because there's so many nice stadiums in the league. But what about this is going to be your first game at AT&T Stadium? First game at AT&T Stadium. He's like, no, I've played there already. And I don't know if you were there, but it was that LSU Miami game. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Hey, so I went back and looked it up because I went to the game with Hellman and some other people.
Yeah.
Hey, that's his first start at LSU. 11 for 24, 140 yards. They did win 33-17. But his receivers there was Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. He had Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 140 yards. I don't know. That just seems like
I remember the game, and I don't remember him at all.
I don't either. I don't either because that was that first year he was there. He did not play like he did the second year, and then obviously
when they changed coordinators.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Was that the Cowboys?
No, that was Scott came after.
You're right.
That was when the ship be sinking.
Yeah, you're right.
He'll have more than 124 this week.
140.
140. He'll have more than 140.
It was his first start at LSU.
He'll at least double that.
You know what needs to happen?
Probably.
I mean, Tank, Micah, all that's good, but all we've heard for since April was, Dorrance Armstrong's stats were about the same as Randy Gregory's. He needs to step up.
Oh, and not just Dorrance. You need to get more out of Sam Williams, Dante Fowler, all those guys. When I looked at the stat sheet after that game, I was just I was expecting a lot more. But then again,
can Sam Williams play end? Can we not play him at tackle, like on the inside at tackle? Because I don't know if y'all saw the play that he just kind of got double teamed back 17 yards. He's an edge. He's an edge guy. Now versatility is great if the guy can do it, but. Some guys can slide inside like Golston.
Who was playing in at that time? He was playing tackle, though.
I don't know.
Probably Micah.
Probably had to be Micah. See, the thing about it is they're using Micah to do the edge. It was probably on a passing down.
Yeah. No, I was down there by the goal line, actually. And it may have been passing down. I don't know. But I'm just saying Dorrance Armstrong was sold to, hey, he can be this guy.
A lot of things were sold around here, sir.
I know. I know.
A lot of hope was sold around here.
But to your point, I was expecting a little bit more out of the edge rush. Obviously Micah showed up, and DeMarcus Lawrence had some nice plays as well too.
And we sit there and we watch practice at Oxnard over and over and over, and you see another great play, and you don't know is Willetsko and Ball, are they terrible, and that's why Dorrance looks like a Pro Bowler, or what? And
and Brady deserves some credit too.
He's
ball out and things like that.
Yeah, this is different. This is night and day. Well, not night and day. This is afternoon and night difference.
It's hard to judge what we saw in training camp and project because I'm sorry, the offense was not good in training camp.
No.
If you watch them, there were not a lot of touchdowns scored in training camp. First team, second, whatever. There was not and everybody was because the defense was so great. Well,
jury's still out. On all of it.
All of it, but the offense. It just wasn't. If you watch practice, then I'm not being negative. We did not see great offense, even with the starters.
And we did see Micah.
And I remember last year, CD was amazing in training camp last year.
Yeah.
He did not jump off the page for us this year in training camp. Let's be honest about that.
Yeah,
not like he did last year.
And you know who his quarterback was last year? Garrett Gilbert. The entire camp,
right? But he jumped.
He was making plays left and right. So
we did not see that. And there was, there was something, So you can say they didn't play in the preseason game, but they weren't good in practice.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, Media Mash members, let's get our next break in here. Speaking of CeeDee Lamb, let's talk about him. Does Jalen Tolbert get to dress this weekend? Let's dive into that right here on DallasCowboys.com radio.
Did you get to work on time?
Yeah, but I just realized it's Sunday.
Little Sweet says head on home. Dr. Pepper's on its way. So sweet, unique. Baby, there's nothing better. I bet you've probably done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper. Did you invest your nest egg in an NFT?
Yeah, and I don't even know what that is. It's a non-fungible token.
Everyone's done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Brace yourself for an existential question. Has your butt been having enough fun lately? Have you been treating it well? Has it been going places? If not, then it's about time you start using SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the best way to get your butt tickets to live events. Just ask the thousands of other butts who have rated it the #1 ticketing app. So what are you waiting for? Download the app now or visit SeatGeek.com to get tickets to sports, concerts, and live events and make your butt happy. SeatGeek. Get your seat in a seat.
What do you call a group of grown men and women with their faces painted silver and blue who get together every week to share a 3-hour-long ritual of jumping, sinking, and toasting Miller Lite in 10-gallon hats while yelling, "How about them Cowboys?" You call it Miller Time in Dallas. Here's to the Cowboys. Here's to the original light beer. It's Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. 2021 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Back to Media Mash.
Here we are, Media Mash, our last one of the week. We do the show on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays right here on DallasCowboys.com radio at 3 o'clock Central Time. Clarence Hill, Fort Worth Star-Telegram, Nick Eatman, DallasCowboys.com, and John Machota of The Athletic. These three men have the phones working and going. They never stop talking, never stop thinking about the Cowboys as they get ready for a critical game against the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday. The Cowboys are 0-1, Bengals are 0-1. Nobody wants to fall to 0-2. CeeDee Lamb did not have a good game. The last 100-yard game CeeDee had, Cooper Rush was the quarterback. It was Halloween night when they beat Minnesota on Thanksgiving night on NBC Sunday Night Football here. So how does CeeDee get himself right, and will Jalen Tolbert, the rookie, actually get to dress and play this week? Start with you, John.
Yeah, I asked Mike McCarthy about Jalen Tolbert today, and I didn't get the impression that anything was gonna change this week. You know, he said he's headed in the right direction. I didn't get the sense that he
crushing it.
Yeah, he said he's crushing it in practice, but he didn't make it sound like anything's gonna be any different. And he pointed to a hamstring injury, and so the only time I can think of when he was dealing with any type of injury was at like the start of minicamp. Remember when James Washington had the walking boot on and Tolbert was
it was a minicamp.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's basically Mike McCarthy saying that's kind of set him back then.
What I took from that was that, you know, he came in, they tried to give him a lot of different spots at wide receiver like CD, but by doing that and then the hamstring injury, the other guys passed him on the special teams periods. Right. And so he's never played special teams in college, and that set him back. Those guys are better than him at special teams. That's what I took from that. Maybe
I know what they're not saying is that he was brought here to be an instant impact player as an offensive receiver. Mm-hmm. And you lose James Washington. You know, it wasn't his primary role, at least what they sold us from the beginning. Now, he talked about excitement about him. They thought he was a guy that could contribute immediately as an offensive player, not a special teamer. The fact that he is not the offensive player and then he doesn't do special teams, that's what has him back.
Yeah, they thought he'd be better than Noah Brown. They just assumed he would be better than Noah.
Yes.
And he's not.
Yes.
Say that.
Yes,
that's
I'm just
why he's
saying.
not starting, and why he's not playing is because he's not better than special teams.
Right, and they're not even better than Dennis Houston on special teams. But yeah, it's
right.
It's still a disappointment.
No doubt.
And to say that we gave him too much because y'all thought a lot of him. That's how much you thought of him and thought his ability to come in and have an impact because you wanted to play him all those different positions because you thought he could play and contribute immediately as a third-round pick. So, it's a disappointment. No matter what, and certainly you can be patient as week one. He's a rookie, and we can say all those other things. But right now, it's a disappointment.
And then last week on the radio, Stephen Jones said that Jalen Tolbert, Semi Fehoko, and Dennis Houston are kind of in a spot right now where, one, they're going to play depending on what the matchup is. And to your point, Clarence, they obviously took him in the third round thinking that it's not going to matter what the matchup is. This is a guy that's going to be out there regardless, as much as possible.
Yeah. The fact that you're what and what with Dennis Houston and Simi, I mean, that's a disappointment. And that just goes to the bigger picture. I talked to Michael Irvin the other day, and he basically said the Cowboys, number one, made a mistake in getting rid of Amari Cooper, but they also did not do enough to replace the part of the receivers.
Well, and here's the thing too. Let's not act like every third round pick, because Michael Gallup had success. Every third round pick, all teams deal with this. But to your point, that's why you have to prepare yourself in the offseason. That hey, this might not be another Michael Gallup right away. He might be eventually, but right away he might not be.
Let's move forward. I think that Jalen Tolbert made just about the same amount of plays last week as Fehoko and Houston. So. I mean, is special teams that much of a?
No.
I mean, like I'm playing them now. Like those guys aren't doing anything that I can't get out of Tolbert.
And that's what frustrates me with this. We like our guys. We like our guys. We like our guys. Julio Jones was available.
I agree.
Well, there's still some guys available.
I'm just talking about that, in free agency. I mean, you can say, and the thing that frustrates me is that
he would be a progress stopper though to Jalen Tolbert.
We knew,
but Houston isn't.
But you need three. But yeah, I know. But everybody knew that Gallup was going to miss the first 2-3 games of the season. And I just hate when they keep Gallup's getting. He's not playing. And even when he does play, he won't be Michael Gallup. And you need to get off to a good start. You lost those guys. Help your guys out. Improve this team. And there were guys you could have brought in here who could have helped them immediately. You need help.
But if you're drafting and developing, you don't want to go and bring one of those
because
they're progress stoppers.
That's my problem that's my problem with the draft and develop. Well, it's also a long season, but it's a long process. If that draft and develop might not be for a couple of years. Yep. The urgency is right now for Mike McCarthy. The urgency is right now for Dak Prescott. The urgency is right now for this football team to win.
Yeah,
I think that they tried to balance the Gallup injury with the signing of James Washington. But I agree, when Washington got hurt very early in camp, they should have pivoted there.
I agree, but with all due respect, Washington was signed to a make good contract. I mean, they didn't invest much in Washington. He's not. What's the receiver? I can't even think. That went from Cleveland to New Orleans.
Jarvis Landry.
He's not.
No, he's not.
He's not Julio Jones.
He's a veteran
but he's a guy that could help when Gallup comes back. But when they lost both of them right away. And I think they should have. I don't know if it's Julio Jones was the answer, but there's still somebody.
But at that time, Dennis Houston was probably impressing them, and so they were like, "Let's not stop progress."
I said this on a different show this week. I mean, I think that the biggest problem they've got is that they have a bunch of number 5 receivers.
Right, they just got guys.
I heard you say that, and it's like a pitching rotation.
Yeah,
it's like a bad
fours.
No,
I think they're fours.
No. I don't.
Dude,
I think
this
all
is the
of them,
Texas Rangers, man.
I think all of them are guys that are special teams players that if you have to play them at the game, you play them. And I think that's Noah Brown. He's a good 5, but Noah Brown, Simi, and Houston are 5s. And I think from what I've seen right now, they just only have a couple of 2s.
The frustrating part is that this has been done before and failed.
Yes.
Recently.
Yeah.
It was like back 10 years ago.
4 years ago.
When Parcells was here. You just saw this happen.
Right.
You saw this. And this is how Amari Cooper got here. And you had to trade a first-round pick and then give him $100 million. I mean, you did this to yourself, and you've repeated it.
And the damning thing, again, is what Stephen Jones said on the radio Monday or Tuesday.
Monday.
CeeDee Lamb has to work himself into being the number one receiver. How did you not know? Why does that not? Why was that? How is that not a given based on the decisions you made in the offseason? We can talk about the backup guys, but one thing that should have been a given was CeeDee Lamb being your number one guy, being that type of guy. The fact that you're saying now that he has to work himself, and Mike McCarthy says, "See, this is the new world he's living in, and he has to learn how to do this." You guys should have known, and you talk about the preseason. Maybe you needed CeeDee Lamb to go against this type of coverage and defense in the preseason to get used to this. But how do you not know?
It's a problem.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to look as bad on Sunday. I really don't. I do think CD is a legitimate number one wide receiver. I think he had a bad first game, but I don't think that first game is who CeeDee Lamb is. I do think that he is.
If he doesn't beat Eli Apple and Cheeto Awuzie, then yeah, that's going to be problems.
But it's not just Eli, but he's going to get coverage. He's going to get attention. It won't be just those two. They're going to give him attention, and he's going to have to make those contested catches in the middle. To be a number one, to get that number one receiver money that's out there that everybody's getting, that I'm sure he's anticipating, he's going to have to make those tough catches over the middle.
And
not just be wide open.
He had 100 yards the last time was against the Vikings, right?
Yeah, it's Cooper Rush's quarterback.
Yeah, but if I remember correctly, about 40 of those yards was a pass by Cedric Wilson across the field. That was the one. Remember the guy was choking him on the sidelines?
Yeah.
Right.
I think that pass came from Cedric Wilson, so I'm not even sure if Cooper Rush gave him 100 yards.
But it's also the entire offense hasn't been right since the Patriots game. So everything, and I understand that the Vikings game came after that. I guess you can say whatever because they won that game. But it's not like this is just a CeeDee Lamb thing. The entire offense hasn't been right going back to middle of last season.
Well, they had a couple of 50 burgers.
At the end of the
I meant
season
like
against
good
Philly
teams,
Washington,
NFC East teams. All right.
But and that's what worries you
Is
about.
this a good team?
That's what worries. Yeah, I think it's good. And that's that's what worries about this offense. Why do we think it's going to get better now?
No, I agree.
Before we get out of here, since it's the last media match of the week, prediction: Bengals 7.5-point favorites. Machota, where you going?
Yeah, Bengals 31, Cowboys 17. If the Bengals would have won last week, I think the game would have been closer. But I just think they're going to be looking for blood, and they're the better team. And until the Cowboys play better at home against good teams, I don't see how you can pick the Cowboys.
Nick,
I agree. I'll pick the score tomorrow, and I'm still kind of working around that, but it's probably similar to that. I maybe 8 to 10 points, but I just don't see the Cowboys doing enough in this game. And I agree. And it's both these teams. These are the only two teams in the league that are 0-1 that are the rest of their own Division One. There's only two in the league that are the sole possession of last place, and so it's a hungry game for both. I just don't like the Cowboys' chances.
Bengals 24-10.
How do they score that touchdown?
I don't know.
Diggs.
Turpin.
Okay.
No pick six? Defense? Scoop and score? Turpin. Osa, Diggy Zoo, scoop and score? Okay. All right.
What about you?
I don't have a score yet, but I am taking the Cowboys to...
Ooh, positive Pat.
Cover. Hold on.
What?
He's not finished.
What?
Cover.
Taking the Cowboys to lose big.
I was like, where's this going here? Positive Pat.
Like Kool-Aid drinking.
That's how other shows.
What's big? Like more than 10?
Yes.
20?
Yeah, I think it could get that bad.
Okay.
I'm very concerned about Jaron Kearse not being there, and you're putting in two guys who have not played. And, if you want to go ahead and try and double up on Kearse, Hayden's going to get free. I actually think Hayden Hurst could have a good game. I'm concerned about the tight end. This is just a bad matchup. And I thought this was a bad matchup when the schedule came out. This is going to be bad. And we could talk about, Tank and the defense getting here. They didn't stop the run last week. And Cincinnati, they had 133 yards on Pittsburgh. Cowboys have yet to show us they can stop the run. We talk about that blueprint. Hey, run on the Cowboys. That's what people have been doing. I expect them to do the same thing here. Joe Mixon coming back and run.
It's a bend but don't break defense. It was in that game against Tampa. And I wonder if because Tom Brady's not going to make a lot of mistakes. He did make the one, but he's not going to make a lot. But bend but don't break against an offense like this, I think it could work if you don't give up the big plays, but I think that they're going to have more big plays than Tampa.
Yeah, they're way more explosive than Tampa.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase is uncoverable.
This is tough when you don't have a guy like Kearse and you're asking two guys who you didn't even give a shirt to.
I wouldn't ask it to them. I would ask Jabril Cox to do this. Honestly,
Jabril Cox.
Yeah,
he played last week.
No.
Okay, so now we go more dudes who ain't been playing.
Well, I mean,
come get you some Bengals. Come on, get some. Hey, we got to go. We got to go. Nick, I appreciate it, but save for the break. We got to go.
Anthony Barr, get up.
We got to go.
Make plays.
John Machota, Nick Eatman, Clarence Hill.
Hope.
This has been the Media Bash. I'm Louis
prayer.
Scruggs on DallasCowboys.com radio.
Go to church.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!